Manifest with Tori DeSimone. I'm your host, Tori DeSimone, and today we are doing our 2025, what do we even call this? Like our 2025 rebrand, our 2025 strategy session with ourselves. We are doing a year recap, an audit of 2024, like a life audit. So much is happening in this episode that I just want to dive right into it. And I just want to say before we do, I hope you guys had a wonderful ringing in of the new year in 2025. I hope you guys were all safe and happy. And I hope 2024 was a great year for you. And if it was, I hope that continues into 2025. And if it wasn't, I hope 2025 is the year that changes the game for you and is your best year ever. You all deserve it. And I'm so grateful to be in my 6th year of podcasting with you guys and that we get to celebrate another milestone together, another year together, and that we get to go into 2025 together with our little strategy session and rebrand. So I'm really honored to be here and talk to you guys today. So I just want to start off the episode with so much love and so much gratitude and another year. How lucky are we to be here for another year? So I love you guys and thank you so much for listening to Manifest, whether this is your first episode or you've been watching since we started 6 years ago, maybe you just started listening last year. Just thank you for supporting and watching and following along. I truly love this podcast and I love you guys and I just have so much gratitude for you. So thank you for sticking by. But today we are talking all about 2025 rebrand and your strategy session, your recap, our audit, all these sorts of things. 2024 was the most transformative year of my life. And I will link a few episodes below where I talk about that because you guys know this year was crazy for me. I opened up a 4th studio for my spin and fitness location, and opening that 4th studio completely took the business from one level to the next. It allowed me to hit all of the goals that I've ever wanted to hit. It allowed me to really see the brand in a new light that I've been wanting to see it in for a while. And I feel like all that I was looking for, I unlocked and I hit through an impulsive, spontaneous decision. And I like to think that I'm not a very spontaneous person, but there are decisions in my life that are very impulsive that I make very on the fly, and they have always been my best decisions. So that I'm really proud of. But I will say, opening my Avalon location, which is the 4th studio of Stride and the 3rd of Stride Sea Isle, like my Stride Down the Shore studios, really changed my business for me. And I'm really happy that I did that last year. And I'm just so excited for this upcoming year. I have so much in store. I have so much planned out and I learned so much. I can't even wrap into words how much I learned last year. And I can't wait to apply all that I learned to this year. So I'm just feeling really, really grateful for that. So that was a really transformative thing for me business-wise was, opening up another studio. Another really big thing for me was I ended a long relationship that I was in this year. And I talk about that in a few other episodes that I will link below as well. But that was really big because it was something that I knew I had to do. And I knew it for a while. I knew it was time to move on. But when you're happy enough and comfortable enough, it's hard to get uncomfortable when you don't want to. But it was the best thing I could have done for myself. And because of that, choosing myself in July has led to now this life and version of myself in January that I could have only dreamed about. Like going from this New Year's to last 2025 New Year's to 2024 New Year's, it's 2 totally different people. And who I am now is exactly who I hoped I would be a year ago. And I'm really proud of myself. And that took getting really uncomfortable and going through this this complete journey of self-love and choosing myself every day, even when it was hard and even when I didn't want to, and even when I wanted the comfort of, a friend or a relationship or whatever it might be. Choosing yourself never fails you. And that is a lesson that I learned this year. And I'll talk about it in a little bit, but I'm really, really glad that I went through that, even though it was super uncomfortable. I would do it time and time again if it meant living the life I currently live because of uncomfortable times. So that was a really big part of my year. And then also another big part of my year is that when I chose myself, I feel like I came home to myself. And that has let me really come back into who I am at my core, which is like this girly, feminine version of myself. And I haven't been with her for so long. And I haven't seen her in a really long time. Like I always say it was around COVID, and it was, but that also lines up with other things that were going on in my life at the time that I don't have anymore. And it all makes sense now looking back. I mean, hindsight is always 2020. But I feel like this year I really just came home to myself. I'm confident in myself. I'm comfortable with myself. I'm happy with myself. And I just feel like I've come home to myself. And that is the greatest feeling I could have ever had. And because of that, everything feels really aligned. My work feels really aligned. I definitely have priorities in my work that before I was always kind of grabbing at things of like seeing what sticks. Now I feel like I'm really aligned with my visions, my goals, my priorities. And I just feel really good going into the new year of, okay, what is it exactly that I want work-wise and what isn't what I want work-wise? And that's cool to know. I also feel like personally as a human being, I feel really secure in who I am. My friend Chelsea always says, like, Tori, you have a very defined center. And sometimes I didn't feel that way, but now I do. I feel like I know who I am and I feel really good about who I am. And I feel happy with who I am as a person and who I'm continuing to grow into as a person. I'll talk about that in a little bit as well in the audit that we'll get into. But I just feel very transformed career-wise, personally, happiness. And you guys even say it too. You guys are always like, you seriously look like you're glowing. And that's like the best thing that I could possibly hear. And it just makes me so happy to hear that. So I'm happy that the internal work has been showing on the outside, but that's also not to say that internal work is really hard. I think when a lot of people start a journey of self-love or getting out of a relationship or a job or whatever it might be, there's definitely growing pains and it's hard and it's lonely at times and it's really uncomfortable and it's really not fun all the time. But once you start to see things changing or you hit the other side, and I'll be honest, I don't even know if there is another side to it because I always, now that I know what it feels like to work on yourself and continuously choose yourself, that's something that I always want to do and I'm always going to do. And that is just an amazing feeling. So I don't know if there is another side of it, but I will say being able to choose yourself is one of the greatest things that I learned this year. Anyway, I digress. 2024 was just a very transformative year, and it was a year that was tough and uncomfortable, but the most rewarding and one that I would do time and time again if it meant being this happy with this version of myself in 2025. So if you guys had a tough year, I'm rooting for you and I'm cheering for you and I'm sending you all of my love. And I hope 2025 is the year that changes the game for you and that you can look back on and be like, I'm so glad that I went through what I did in 2025 because this feeling that I have right now was worth it. And I would do it time and time again. So let's talk about what worked, what didn't work, what I learned, and what I need to improve on. Just like a full on life audit. And I encourage you guys to kind of do this with me so that we can be really aligned going into 2025 and, be really honest with ourselves. So, what worked? Firstly, the thing that worked for me in 2024 was expanding Stride, really was my greatest accomplishment this year. And I feel like going into 2025, I have so much energy and growth and ideas, and I just can't wait for this season of Stride in the summer in Sea Island, Avalon for 2025. I feel like since opening Stride down at the shore in 2020, I've been looking for something to kind of bring it to the next level. And this past summer, I hit that. And I feel like it was exactly what I was waiting to happen. But the difference was I had to change what I was doing in order to get something different. And I know that is a very logical thought. But if you want something you haven't ever had, you have to do something you haven't ever done. And when I decided to add on another location, that was the one thing that changed the game for me. It was something familiar but different, and that really was what the business needed. And I'm really glad that I did it. We added in some new formats that I love. We added in what people wanted. And another thing that I really, well, this is, I guess, what I learned this year, but I guess I can save it for when we get there. But I was really particular about what I wanted. And that was going to not draw everyone in. Like, for example, we did a lot of heated classes this year, and some feedback that I would get from, like, specifically my mom would be like, well, not everyone wants a heated class. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine, but then we're just not the studio for them. And I, this year, really felt like okay saying that. Normally, I always wanted to be the studio for anyone and everyone, right? I wanted to have the most inclusivity, and I still do. But I can be inclusive while being specific and still having a brand and maintaining a brand and having a message to send out. And when I really stuck to what I knew I wanted the studio to be like, what I knew the clientele that I was targeting, what they wanted, when I got specific and direct and did what I wanted and blocked out the outside noise while accepting feedback from my proper, like, demographic that I was trying to service, is when the business hit the next level of what I was looking for. And that felt really good and really fulfilling. So I'm really, really proud of Stride, and I can't wait for this upcoming summer. It's just going to be amazing. So that really worked well. Something else was I really found my girly side once again. And this is something that I kind of just touched on, but I'll touch on a little bit more. Once I stopped taking care of things out of my control and started putting my attention towards me, I was able to really tap into my feminine side again and really come home to myself and be girly and do my makeup and do my hair and, treat myself the way that I wanted to be treated and set a new standard of life for myself that I wasn't going to accept anything less of. And that standard of life, when I first went into it, I was like, okay, it's probably going to be about health and fitness and wellness and all these, kind of, I don't want to say masculine traits, but it was a little more masculine. Like, I was really trying to, like, be the man, quote unquote, in my life that I was, wanting in a relationship or whatever it was. But actually the opposite happened, and I found myself just being super feminine and girly. And that was awesome. And that, to me, is just what I've been missing for the past few years. And I was able to really just come home to myself. And you guys have been seeing that on social media. And you guys just comment it all the time to me, like, I'm glowing, I look happier than ever. And that's because I have come back to myself and I've been able to be, feminine again. And that's been really, really awesome. And then the last thing that worked was manifestation is so real, There are so many instances where I look back on this year and it's like, oh, I actually manifested exactly all of this stuff to happen. And when it did, it was just wild and crazy. And so, like, oh my God, this is happening. Like, there's just so many instances that I can think of, but it's just fitting that this podcast is Manifest with Tori Simone, and I'm looking back on 2024 and I'm like, everything that I would put out there, whether as a joke or, speaking to my friends about, like, it actually came true. And manifestation is so real. So just be careful of what you say, because what you say will happen. And we'll come back to that in a minute. All right, let's talk about what didn't work. Okay, because there's always so much to say what did not work. And I think there's tons of lessons in that. Number one, what did not work? Overcommitting to too many ventures. In 2024, definitely at times felt like I had to do everything all the time, all at once. And because of that, I overcommitted to way too many things. And I spread myself way too thin. And because of that, I didn't make progress, whether it be financially, professionally, spiritually, like no matter what it was. When I was spread too thin, there was no progress to be measured. There was no progress to be made. Like, I was just doing too many stupid, pointless things for the sake of doing stupid, pointless things. So now going into 2025, I have very narrow sights and I have 3 priorities that I'm focusing on. Number 1 being health and wellness. Your health is literally everything. And if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And I truly am so grateful to be alive every single day. And I never want to take my health, my family's health, my friends' health for granted. I'm just so grateful for health. And that is my number 1 priority, to be healthy, to stay healthy, to have my friends and family healthy, and just to lead a healthy lifestyle. And that goes beyond, working out and eating well. That also means sleeping well. It means stressing way less. It means regulating my nervous system. It's all of these things that lead to overall wellness and a well-being, a well-oiled machine, if you will. So that's really a big priority of mine this year, next year, and every year of my life. The second priority is social media. Once I came home to myself, and I keep saying that just because that's just what feels right. Once I came home to myself, I really was like, you know what, I want to share this. Like, I want to be authentic and put this out there and organic with it. And once I started sharing it more on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, you guys have been loving it. So that's been really cool. So it is a big priority of mine, social media, to continue to share, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, really make this podcast exactly what I want it to be. I'm really excited for that. So that's the second priority. And the third is Stride CIL, and doing exactly the visions that I have for Stride this year. And I just have all 3 of those priorities really straight, really narrow. And that's because I learned I overcommitted to way too many things last year and the year before. And I get why. I was in survival mode. Like, COVID to last year was just try to survive, try to survive, try to survive. And now that, like, we've survived and we're on the other side of the pandemic, it's like, okay, now let's rebuild, and let's be intentional when we do that. So for me, if it doesn't serve my priorities or bring me happiness and health, it's going to be a no for me, and I'm okay with that. Another thing that did not work was stress. Obviously, stress doesn't work, but my stress stemmed from a lack of systems, and I now know how to fix this problem, which I'm actively working on. When I think about stress, it really does come back to the summer when I was doing a lot of work with Stride, which is so ironic because it was the best summer I've ever had and also the most stressed out I've ever been in my life all at the same time, which is so crazy. Okay. That's like being an entrepreneur summed up. But here's what I will say. I know what to do, and I know, more importantly, what not to do. And sometimes you just have to go through the hard times and the mud to really learn, like, okay, I'm not going to walk through the mud again. Now I know how not to. So I'm really grateful that I went through what I went through. I don't want to do it again, because then I would just like be putting myself in uncomfortable situations, and I would have learned nothing if I didn't change what I now know. But I only think that I am confident in things moving forward because of the lack of systems that I had last year. And now the scale that like the business is at, I need to have good systems implemented. And I'm actively working on that. And that feels really, really good. So hopefully this summer, when I do this recap next year, I'll say I had the best summer of my life because I had systems in place. Okay. Okay. So that's what did not work. Let's talk about what I learned. Oh boy, did I learn a lot this year. Okay. First thing, not saying what I want from the jump gets me in trouble. I am a yes person. I am a people pleaser. I don't like disappointing other people, even if that means disappointing myself. I would rather disappoint myself and sit with that than disappoint someone else and hurt their feelings or not get them what they want, even if that puts me out of like money or puts me out of happiness or puts me in an uncomfortable situation that I don't want to be in. Like, I would rather the other person just be happy and pleased. And I feel like it just makes everyone better except for me. And I don't want to do that anymore. Not saying what I want from the beginning has gotten me in trouble in terms of like, I don't manage expectations well enough, or people expect something out of me that I'm not able to give, or whatever the reason is. I really learned that I need to be very clear in communicating my expectations, a budget, what I want, what I don't want. And I just need to be better at communicating with other people and manage expectations better. The next thing that I learned is there is so much growth in discomfort. And I will link an episode below that I did with Lily Rako on the 80/20 podcast where we really dive deep into this topic. But I know we always hear the phrases like growth is on the edge of your comfort zone and, things like that. And, you have to get uncomfortable to grow, and, all these lines that we hear, and you don't want to do it, of course. But I will say it's true. It's so true. And like, I met the best version of myself as soon as I got uncomfortable and faced the music that I didn't want to face and swallowed a really tough pill. And I'm really glad that I did that. So there really is so much growth and discomfort. The next thing that I learned is you are the greatest project that you will ever work on. You can always have work to work on. You can always have a relationship to work on. You can always have hobbies to work on. You can always have books to read, whatever it might be. But there is no project greater than yourself. Work you can always be replaced at work. Your business can always be sold and bought. No one remembers it in a year. Like, what's going on externally is never as big as we think it is, right? But you and yourself and your mental and the way you speak to yourself and how you carry yourself, like, you are always going to be the greatest project that you work on. So continuing to pour self-love into yourself and growth, and just continuing to explore who you are and testing the boundaries and breaking down narratives that you've told yourself. It's been the greatest thing I've ever done, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I really, truly do believe that I am the greatest project I will ever work on, and I will never stop working on myself. And I'm really happy with that. So I'm really glad that I learned that this year. Another thing that I learned, how you talk to yourself is everything. It's literally everything. The words you speak to yourself is what you believe. If you tell yourself you are amazing and you are beautiful and you are intelligent, you are capable, you are smart, you're going to believe all of those things. And then on the flip side, if you tell yourself you're not worthy, you aren't smart enough, all these negative things, that's what you're also going to believe. And it really is as simple, not easy, but it's as simple as switching how you talk to yourself that will change your life. And there are times where I catch myself saying very negative things in a one-off moment, one-off instance, and I think like that won't really matter if I think that about myself right now or whatever it is, and then I notice it really does affect me, and that's not fun. I don't want that. And it is so true. How you talk to yourself, about your job, about your capabilities, about anything is how you perceive yourself. And you have the ability to be whoever you want to be and whoever you tell yourself you are. And that's really cool. So if you're already talking to yourself and you already have that inner chatter, you may as well make it positive and you may as well make it good. And you may as well disrupt the patterns whenever it gets bad and just start talking highly of yourself. It's always worth it. And it's really cool. And another thing that I learned, and this will be the last one of this what I learned section, is that not every battle is worth fighting. This is something that I also have learned in years past, but I feel like it's always important to kind of just remember that you don't always have to prove that you're right all the time. And if someone else is happy, I'm not always going to like start a little fight or like pick a battle just to also serve my ego and prove that like I'm right, or maybe my way is the better way, or whatever it is. Not every battle is worth fighting, because choosing inner peace and protecting your peace sometimes is better than serving your ego just to say like I'm right, or this was better, or I told you so. You know what I mean? So you don't have to fight every battle. You really don't. You can be bothered at best, is what my therapist says to me. She always says, Tori, you're bothered at best. And I like that. I'm good with that. Okay. The next section is what I need to improve on. And this is obviously, again, from lessons of 2024. So the first one is saying no and holding firm on boundaries. Like I said, am a people person and I love to say yes to make others happy. And it puts me in uncomfortable situations at times and makes me unhappy at times. I really need to improve on saying no and being firm in my boundaries. There are so many examples when I tried to say no, or here's the thing, I would say no, and then it was met with negotiation. It was met with no. Like I would say no, and then they would say back to me, well, you can't say no. And it's like, okay, now I have to double down on saying no. And that's tough. Like that was always really hard for me, of when I would say, something was out of budget or something wasn't going to work out for XYZ reason. And then it was met with well, no, that's not how this is going to work. Like I need it to work like this. And then I would be like, okay, well, I can try to make it. No, the answer is no. And I really need to be better at that. I really, really do need to be better at that, because I hate and this goes into what I need to improve on, not letting people take advantage of me. I will oftentimes allow it, normally in like a work capacity, because I just don't want to make things uncomfortable. And this is interesting to me because I actually was a lot better at this when I was younger. When I was like 20, 21, 22, I was really firm, right, in my boundaries. And I would say no a lot. I was really kind of tough. And I got a little soft over the years. And I don't know why. I don't know when that changed, what happened. But I really need to be more firm of not letting people take advantage of me. And to go alongside of that, when my life started to get a little bit better, like when Stride was really doing super well, or I would put stuff out online, or I don't know, like whenever things would just go good. People want a piece of like what's going good, right? So I would have a bunch of people, coming forward to me and just I don't really know how I'm trying to word this, but what I'm getting at is I need to be protective of what it is that I've built personally as my human, right? Like I need to protect who has access to me and who doesn't. I need to protect my business. I need to protect my friends, my family, my friend groups, my morals, my values, like all these things that I've built my life. I need to protect that, and I need to be okay protecting that, because it kind of goes back to protecting my peace of it's it's okay to not be for everyone all the time. And that's tough for me. That's really tough for me. So I really do need to improve on that. And it all kind of goes into play of like, say no, hold firm on my boundaries, don't let people take advantage of me, and protect what I've built. That's just that. The next thing that I need to improve on is not being so accessible to everyone all the time. And I feel like I struggle with this because since I put myself online, and also sorry if you hear a dog drinking water in the background, just because I put myself online doesn't mean that I'm available to everyone at all times. And this goes back to having boundaries. Like I need to be better at saying no and just holding firm boundaries. But I feel like because I put so much of my life online, sometimes that line gets blurred, and that's tricky to navigate, right? And that's like something that I need to figure out a little bit more. But I definitely need to improve on that. And then the last thing that I need to improve on goes back to what I learned, which is how you speak to yourself is everything. And that also means that I want to improve on speaking kindly to myself. I feel like I do a pretty good job at it, but I definitely have noticed a few times recently where I will just say things where I just feel like that wasn't me. Like, where did that come from? And I just want to be aware of it and make sure that I'm just speaking kindly to myself. And it's just so important. So those are the four areas of my life that I'm taking an audit on. But honestly, going into 2025, I feel more aligned and more like myself than ever. I feel very girly, very feminine, very protected. I feel like I'm in a really great routine with my life, like work routine, workout routine, health and wellness. I feel good in what I eat. I feel good of what I consume, both like media wise, and I feel really secure with my friends. I love my friend group. I feel really good in constantly wanting to learn more about myself and come home to myself and experience myself more. And I just always and forever will make myself a priority, which I feel like I really lost for a while. And now I don't have to do that. And I just feel really excited and really aligned going into 2025. So I encourage you guys to reflect on 2024 and kind of do a little bit of a life audit and see what your life in 24 was like and how you want it to go into 25. And I'm just really excited for this year and really excited to see all that it brings. And I hope it continues to be as transformative as 2024 was. And let's have a great year, guys. So thank you for ringing in another new year with me. I love you guys. And I can't wait to chat next year and see all that we accomplish together. So thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode of Manifest. You guys can always watch it on YouTube at Manifest with Tori Simone on the YouTube channel. You can follow me on TikTok at Tori D. Simone. You can follow me on Instagram at Tori Sterling _. You can check out my website, ToriDSimone.com. I just got it redone and it's beautiful. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. And next week I have a really fun, or next week my mom is on for Let Me Call My Mom. The week after I have a really fun guest on, and I think you guys are really going to love it. So Thank you guys for watching. I love you, and I'll talk to you guys all soon. Bye, guys.